So about a year ago, I asked myself the question, do we grow? Do we expand? Do we evolve? Do we become more conscious as human beings only from a place of suffering? Or can we also grow, expand, evolve, become more conscious from a place of peace and love? So stay with me for a moment without like, oh, is this all woo woo?
I'm following you.
Yeah. So what does that look like? And the term like self-love, for the longest time, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cheap. Self-love, like, okay, that term again, like, what is it? And someone literally said to me, self-love really comes down to a releasing of judgment towards self.
Mm-hmm.
So no judgment put on self. When we remove judgment from self, we are no longer shaming ourselves. So when we don't feel good enough about something, that's shame. That is an ongoing shame cycle happening internally. It's a shame dialogue that keeps happening over and over and over again. And that's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can arguably say that suffering takes us places in life. Sure. I wouldn't say that it doesn't. Suffering can definitely be a motivational piece to get us somewhere. You had an accident, you suffered from it. It's leading you now to get a personal trainer, to start running, to have a healthy lifestyle, all those excellent things. But does that mean you need to keep hurting yourself and having more accidents and suffering to expand and grow and evolve and become more conscious as a human being? Absolutely not. So while we may have that piece of suffering, the moment of suffering, in my case, I was very young. I was in and out of the hospital for 4 years with anorexia and bulimia. I suffered a lot in terms of how much I damaged my physical body for many years. But do I need to keep going back to that to be able to keep growing as a human being? No. I take that moment of suffering and say, okay, what can I learn from this? And from there, we grow. And so let's say the suffering is coming from a lower vibrational piece or point in our lives. So we're in a vibration of, let's say, fear. And that fear can motivate us to reach whatever goal it is that we want to get to, for sure. Do I want to be living in fear? Do I want to be living in a low vibrational space for the rest of my life to reach my targets? No, because I'm never going to enjoy my targets wholeheartedly if a part of me is still in fear or shame or self-sabotage or, suffering or unhappiness on some level. So I believe that can be it's almost like the trampoline, right? It's like the kickoff point to get us somewhere. And once we've started opening our mind, opening our awareness, opening our level of consciousness, now I believe we can start expanding from a space of love, from a space of care, from a space of compassion towards self, from a space of awareness. And once we're in that space, now we're opening our mind up to creation, to evolution, to building more. I don't think the greatest inventors in the world were shaming themselves every single day to get to where they wanted to get to. I'm sure at some point they said, I am so wholeheartedly in this. It's so meaningful to me that that's my motivation to get to where I want to get to. And I'm going to keep doing it. So I would like to believe, and call me idealistic, I'd like to believe at some point we learn from our lessons, we learn from the fear, we learn from the accidents, we learn from whatever's happening, and we say, okay, now I'm at a higher space now, and how can I learn from here? How can I evolve? How can I become more conscious from this place rather than needing to suffer again?